Hello, this is Eric White. In this screencast, and in subsequent screencasts in this series, I am going to give an end-to-end overview on OpenXML development. OpenXML is all about developers. There are lots of other people besides developers who are interested in OpenXML and are happy that OpenXML is a standard. Business people, people who are responsible for archiving documents for corporations, governmental organizations who want to have standardized ways to submit documents for processing in one form or another. But as developers, we are the ones who really care about the semantics of all those elements and attributes. The first step as a developer is to download the standard. Get the PDF on your computer. You can download the standard from the ISO website. On the ISO website, there is a list of freely available standards. That URL is standards.iso.org/ittf/publicly available standards/index.html. You can also get to this page using this bit.ly link. And when you get to this page, you can find the OpenXML standard down here at the bottom. It is IS 29500:2011. There are 4 parts to the standard. We're going to take a look at those. When you download the standard, you are downloading PDF documents. One key point is make sure that you have a reasonably new version of Adobe Reader. Some of the older versions of Adobe Reader don't deal with the standard as well as the new versions. I'm using version 10.1.0. This is part 1 of the standard. Part 1 of the standard is arguably the most important part of the standard, in that this is the part that, as a developer, you're going to be spending most of your time in this part. I spend a lot of time in word processing ML reference material. I specialize a fair amount in word processing ML, although I certainly also spend time in spreadsheet ML and in presentation ML reference material. You probably already know that OpenXML documents are really just zip files that have XML inside of them. These zip files are called packages, and the files inside of these zip files are called parts. Parts in a package are related to other parts through something called relationships. Relationships are themselves represented in XML files in the zip package. When you look at the outline of the OpenXML standard part 1, you'll see that down here is the word processing ML reference material, spreadsheet ML reference material, and presentation ML reference material. And up here are 3 other parts: word processing ML, spreadsheet ML, and presentation ML. The reference material down here, this is the documentation on all the elements and attributes that you'll use in your programming of OpenXML. This section up here defines the parts and how the parts are all related to each other. It's worthwhile to browse through the part summary for the markup language that you're particularly interested in. This section defines all of the parts in a particular markup language, such as for word processing ML. It can give you an overview about all the parts that you're going to see in the documents that you're going to be working with. Part 2 of the OpenXML standard is for open packaging conventions, and this defines how all of the parts are related to each other and the actual plumbing and mechanism that an OpenXML package uses to relate parts to each other. Some time ago, I wrote this MSDN article, Essentials of the Open Packaging Conventions. This article gives you just the basics that you need to know in order to work effectively with OpenXML packages. If you are going to write a word processor or some more advanced processor of OpenXML, you may need to know how all the plumbing of OpenXML works, and so in that particular case you would need to know all the detail in part 2 of the standard. However, if you are just interested in programming with OpenXML, generating documents, querying documents, extracting data and information from documents, then this MSDN article will give you everything you need to know about open packaging conventions. Part 3 is Markup, Compatibility, and Extensibility. This information can be important if you are dealing with some of the more advanced extensions to OpenXML. However, if you're just getting started with development with OpenXML, this isn't the most important place to spend your time. And part 4 is about transitional migration features. As an OpenXML developer, you may currently need to know some of this information. However, Microsoft has committed to supporting OpenXML strict in the next version of Office, and so a lot of this information is going to become less important as time goes on. To be honest, I don't spend an awful lot of time looking at the transitional migration features. It's important to remember that the parts 1 through 4 of the OpenXML specification are really like an encyclopedia. They're not meant to be read from beginning to end. They're meant to be read as you need to research particular elements and attributes. One resource that was very important for me when I was first getting going with OpenXML is the primer, the OpenXML Primer. That was part of the first edition of ECMA 376. You can download that from this page where you can download the ECMA 376 standard. You can download it from this link, and you can find the ECMA 376 first edition part 3 down here near the bottom of this list. Part 3 of the first edition of ECMA 376 is a primer. It is effectively a tutorial in OpenXML. The primer covers things such as the main document story, paragraphs and rich formatting, tables, sections, styles, including paragraph styles, character styles, numbering styles, and table styles. The introduction to Spreadsheet.ml covers workbooks, worksheets. It explains the row and cell markup. It explains the shared string table. It explains the tables markup, calculation chain, comments, styles, and etc. The introduction to Presentation.ml covers slides, slide masters, layouts, and placeholders. The next resource that I want to call out is OpenXMLDeveloper.org. OpenXMLDeveloper.org has a whole lot of content about OpenXML, including screencasts, blog posts, and articles. It has a lot of example code, and further, an important thing about OpenXMLDeveloper.org is it has some forums. These forums are very active. There are some very good OpenXML developers who frequent these forums and answer questions. It's a great place to get started with OpenXML. You might miss it, but down at the bottom of the front page is the OpenXML Developer Wiki. And inside the OpenXML Developer Wiki is this OpenXML Content by Keyword page. And if you click here, you'll find an interactive page that gives you the ability to find lots of content about many aspects of OpenXML. So, for instance, if you want to look at introduction topics, go through all of the videos and screencasts here. By the time you get through a fair number of these, you'll understand a lot about OpenXML. Further, if your particular scenario is, for instance, word processing document generation, then you can find a lot of content here about word processing document generation. We work hard to keep this list current, so if you are looking for OpenXML content, this should be the first place that you look. Another important place to find good content is on the OpenXML Developer Center on MSDN. There are links here on Learning OpenXML, Getting Started, articles, How Do I videos, on the OpenXML SDK, training and webcasts. This is the end of this first video in this series on Getting Started with OpenXML. In the next video, I'm going to give an overview of some of the tools that you will want to use to continue with your learning process about OpenXML.